Swindon 105.5.
We're just about to introduce you to two very special people. We're going to be hearing from some amazing stories and welcoming to England and to Swindon 105.5, Monty Roberts and Kelly Marks, who's going to be telling us a little bit of their story and how they work with horses and how horses can work with us. Let's meet them now.
It's great to be here with you, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And I was saying to Kelly, driving here from our event last night, life is so great. And I'm 80, and I think I'm having more fun with my life right now than I ever have in all of these 8 decades. It's a great thing. Making goals and trying to accomplish those goals. And if you accomplish all your goals, you haven't set them high enough. I'm scratching the surface. We need to learn a lot more. But I think now I'm leaving the next generation with a foothold, enough to go on. And it seems that we have reached that point where it's the tipping point. It'll happen now in perpetuity for all time, I believe. How lucky was I in 1989 to meet the Queen, have the Queen endorse my work, and then have Kelly say that to me. And I had worked with her father before, who was a character. And to have a teacher who was a horse person that could really ride to pick up and become my first certified instructor, there's somebody controlling all this.
It was meant to be.
If an atheist follows me around, they're going to have a hard time, I tell you. I'm the luckiest man in the world. I wasn't in the horse business until I was 3. And before that, they tell me I was just learning to walk and talk.
Really?
Yeah.
So what changed your mind at 3?
What changed my mind at 3 was I wanted to win a contest. And they got me ready for the contest. And 1 month after, June 16th or something of 1939, I was in my 4th year, and I went up against competition up to 16 years of age, and I won it. And don't give me too much credit there, because I was riding 8 hours a day, they tell me. And my competition was riding for an hour on Saturday afternoon. So I was basically becoming that protege pro that we all know in some sports there's somebody like that. And I was declared a professional by the American Horse Shows Association in 1949 at 14 years of age. I was declared a professional and couldn't compete against, I could compete against juniors, but I couldn't compete against amateurs, adults. And I didn't know anything else. I didn't go to school. They had a teacher for me on the road. They rented me out during the week for stunts in movies, and then on the weekend in competition with the horses. You know, I went to university beginning in 1954, and I have 2 doctorates in behavioral sciences. And it's not that I'm an academic, but the horses took me to an academic stand, learning behavior. And when I got to a certain place, San Luis Obispo in California, at the university, they were bringing back Korean veterans, 1954. And they had a little place there called Silver City where they stuffed them in there with their wives and their children. And I became a first responder volunteer. And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. It was violence every night. And I, as a first responder, I was just a cleanup person holding them apart until the real people got there. And I was only, 19 years old or something, 54. And I hated every minute of it. But I made a difference. And I took some of these to the horses, and I saw the difference it made. But I was busy making world champion horses. And so I didn't want to do that. And then I stayed away from it for 40-odd years. And the Discovery Channel military came to me, and they had read about what I did in 1954. And they said, we'd like you to repeat this. Then they lied to me and said they could have 10 veterans for 30 days because I didn't want to fail. And ultimately, they got me right down to the nubbin, 2 days or something. They said, you know, we're just going to use 3 veterans and you have 3 days. And I was so angry and I said, I can't, what am I going to do in 3 days? I didn't know what I was going to do in 3 days. Don't give me credit. This is only 6 years ago. I didn't know what I could do in 3 days. But I took them, the 3. And one had traumatic brain injury. And I'm not a physical doctor, fix his brain. So he improved a bit. And he left and he has a job and he's getting through it. The other 2, one had never been around horses before, and today he's a professional horse trainer with 20 horses in training, a wife and 5 children, and getting along fine. 3 days. And the other one was a female that had been held as a sex slave in an encampment in Iraq, totally destroyed. In those 3 days, she became well enough so that she came back a lot, but she now works for the IRS in the United States as a upscale bookkeeping type person, and she has her life together. She's dating now. She's smiling, and she's normal. She comes as a house guest with us, and this was like 6 years ago, and she's still like a foster child, you know, with us. Alejandra Sanchez by name, and she doesn't mind me telling her story. But they stuffed her in a broom closet and gave her away as a prize to the guy that did the best job on the day. A dreadful story, a dreadful story. And for instance, she couldn't see a sunset. I said, sunset? It was a beautiful sunset. I said, look, you can't see a sunset. And I said, why can't you see a sunset? That's when the mortars come in, and that's when they tell me who's coming to the broom closet. And now she can sit and see a sunset.
You've achieved so much in your life so far with books and films, reaching people, making a difference in so many different ways. Is there anything next you'd love to do? Is there anything that you haven't achieved yet? Or how do you see yourself going forward?
Well, like I said earlier, setting goals has been something I always do. I'm a goal setter. And as I said, if you set your goals low enough, you'll meet them all, and that's no good. You set them so high that you can't meet them all. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that I would still like to do, and I'm 80 years of age, and I won't do them all, but that's okay. I'll just keep trying.
You're making such a difference to individuals and to the animals themselves, but what does it do to you? Now you've actually completed a course with one of these lovely people. What does it do to you?
3 days with these people, and I crash. I have to live their life with them in 3 days, and it takes so much out of me. It's the hardest work I do, but I love it. And Kelly was with me here with Help for Heroes down in a funny place.
Tidworth House.
Tidworth House in
Tedworth.
Tedworth.
Yeah.
And we did 32 people in one day, 16 before lunch and 16 after lunch. And in interviews, 32 of 32 said it was the best therapy that they've ever had. So I did mostly just interviews, and Kelly was in the round pen. We had 2 round pens going, and it was a wonderful thing. And we've done quite a few in England in our demonstrations too, and the people find it very gratifying and interesting to watch these people come through. Just a few minutes they change. Yeah.
Well, enjoy the rest of your stay here in England. I know it's been quite a diverse range of places you're going to, which is always very good, which also reflects the diverse range of people and situations that you're going to be facing as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're a man who loves a challenge.
Yep, I love the challenge, and it's fun, and life is good.
At the heart of your community, this is your station. This is Swindon 105.5.